Now on KCRA3.
Breaking news, a suspected ISIS member living in Sacramento. A man the Iraq government claims was an ISIS soldier and wanted for murder, hiding in plain sight. The shocking allegations of his time in Iraq.
I'd like to know why.
Residents concerned and angered.
Outrage. This is just an outrage.
Now some are rallying to support the chief.
And neighborhood stunned, an elderly woman murdered. Now her daughter is facing charges for her death.
This is KCRA3. We begin with breaking news.
And that breaking news out of Sacramento County today. The Department of Justice says that an ISIS soldier and murderer is now under arrest. FBI Terror Task Force agents swarmed to an apartment earlier today collecting boxes and boxes of evidence. We obtained some court records unsealed just this afternoon, and it reveals a disturbing background of this case.
KCRA3's Max Resnick is live for us outside the federal courthouse in downtown Sacramento with what we're learning about the suspect tonight. Max?
We know the country of Iraq is seeking the extradition of Omar Amin. He's accused of murder there, as well as being a member of ISIS. And we saw him here at the federal courthouse just about an hour ago. He was shackled around his waist and ankles in a blue T-shirt and gray cargo shorts. He's accused in a June 2014 murder of a police officer in the Al-Anbar province when ISIS seized control and prevented people from leaving there. ISIS later announced the killing on social media, and a witness identified Amin in the picture. Investigators say Amin participated in other violence as a member of ISIS and Al-Qaeda in Iraq, including planting improvised explosive devices. All that before he came to the United States in Sacramento claiming to be a refugee. Earlier today, we watched the FBI raid Amin's Sacramento County apartment. We watched boxes and other items being carried out, and we saw FBI agents in Joint Terrorism Task Force jackets searching through several cars.
They're pretty intense. In fact, the one in front of my house, there was like five people, FBI agents, just going through the engine, going through everything.
Amin will be back in court on Monday, August 20th, and will be detained until then. We have much more on this case, including those court documents on the KCRA3 mobile app right now. Reporting live in downtown Sacramento, Max Resnick, KCRA3 News.
And Max, those court documents say that Amin was in Iraq in 2014. Have we learned about how he got into our country here?
Well, the court documents say that he came here in 2014, in late 2014, and agents say, according to these court documents, that he lied on his refugee application, saying that he never killed anybody or was a member of any organization that used weapons against people.
But still, he was able to get in somehow. Okay, Max, thank you for that. We continue to dig through the criminal complaint, and we'll have another live update coming for you at 6 o'clock. You can also view those documents on the KCRA3 News app, and we'll continue to update the story as we get new information into our newsroom. Other news today, police chief fired. The city of Tracy has terminated Larry Esquivel after just 2 years on the job. Some residents not happy about this.
Outrage. This is just an outrage. They have done nothing but hurt the citizens of Tracy and the police department by getting rid of him.
Well, there is a lot of mystery surrounding the firing. Tracy city officials are not explaining why they let Esquivel go.
But it is sparking a lot of concern from residents and some anger from supporters of Esquivel. KCRA3's Mike Lurie is in Tracy now with more reaction from the residents there and what the city is saying. Mike?
Well, Lisa, just in the last half hour or so, we've seen close to 36 people show up to rally in support of the fired police chief. They're over here gathering on the steps of the Tracy Police Department to show their support for Larry Esquivel. Now, residents here in this city of 90,000 telling us today they are shocked, saddened, and angry about the sudden dismissal of their police chief, and they want to know why.
Tracy residents seem stunned today to learn their police chief has been sacked.
It's a little nerve-wracking. I'd like to know why.
But Tracy city officials are not revealing why Larry Esquivel was fired after only 2 years on the job, calling it a personnel matter.
Outrage. This is just an outrage. They have done nothing but hurt the citizens of Tracy and the police department by getting rid of him.
Bob McIntyre is a volunteer with the Tracy PD and told us he's worked closely with Esquivel through Neighborhood Watch.
The morale here in the police department has gone way up since he joined. The community has really rallied behind him to his activities. He's always reaching out, how can I do things better?
So why was Esquivel terminated? Some residents here believe it may be politics at play.
A little bit of surprise. You know, there is some splitting on the city council. They aren't on the same page, so there may be some politics. I don't know.
Esquivel was actually fired by the city manager, according to Tracy city officials.
And you're looking at live pictures now of the rally here in Tracy. These are people here supporting the fired police chief Larry Esquivel. In the meantime, the city has named an interim manager. His name is Alex Niku. He is a captain and veteran of the Tracy Police Force. Reporting live in Tracy, Mike Lurie, KCRA 3 News.
So, Mike, at this point, are you getting any sense of what may have promoted the city manager to fire the police chief in the first place?
Well, Lisa, it's important to reiterate that the city's saying nothing officially on that, but we have been talking to a lot of the rally organizers, supporters of the chief. They say they suspect this has to do with politics over the policy of homelessness, that there may have been a dispute between the chief and City Hall over how to enforce laws against the homeless.
All right, Mike Lurie, thank you for the live report. A former CHP officer facing molestation charges tonight. Investigators say a 12-year-old girl was his victim for more than a year. 35-year-old Michael Jocelyn was arrested Monday. The Amador County Sheriff's Department says they received a call from a pastor of a local church. The caller said the girl's mom had reported the abuse to the church. The Sheriff's Department then conducted an investigation. Jocelyn is no longer with the Highway Patrol.
Investigators in Stockton are looking into a deadly shooting that happened just before 2 o'clock this morning. Officers found a man shot and lying on the ground at East Fremont Street and Wilson Way. He was rushed to the hospital where he died. Crime scene investigators collected evidence and they're now searching for possible suspects. The victim's identity and motive have yet to be released. In Modesto, a 53-year-old woman has been arrested for the murder of her mother. Giselle Tadlock was taken into custody this morning. She's charged with murder and elder abuse. Tadlock's 84-year-old mother, Gisela Darden, was a senior citizen who lived out on Key Lane. Investigators say she died from blunt force trauma. Her caretaker called police yesterday asking officers to do a security check at the home. Officers then found the woman dead. One neighbor said she had a restraining order on the suspect.
I'm not surprised, but I'm very thankful that the police was able to handle it in a timely manner. Because we're right next door, so it was very unnerving. So we're thankful that we can sleep. We didn't sleep here last night.
The victim's daughter now being held on murder charges and elder abuse charges.
Police in Folsom have arrested a massage therapist after a woman claimed she was inappropriately touched during a massage. Investigators arrested 26-year-old Ramiro Ricardo Fernandez on Tuesday. He worked at the Dream Inn and Day Spa in Folsom. He is booked for sexual battery. Detectives have not yet found any evidence of other incidents of inappropriate behavior at that business. Search is on for the men responsible for a brazen robbery at the Roseville Galleria last night. This happened at the Apple store inside the mall. Police say they cut security lines on several devices. They got away with 20 iPhones, 2 MacBook Pros, and at least 1 iPad. And we have a picture that captures 2 of the suspects in action, and you can see Apple devices in each of their hands. Police say the suspects were not armed and no one was hurt.
A procession today for a firefighter who died while battling the Mendocino Complex fire. Matthew Burchett was a battalion chief from Utah. He came here to California to help. He'd been helping at the fire for about 2 weeks, and he died when a tree fell on him. And today, the Cal Fire Honor Guard and family escorted Burchett's body from Ukiah to the Sonoma County Airport. His body will then be flown to Salt Lake City, Utah. Burchett leaving behind a wife and a 6-year-old son. The Mendocino Complex fire consisting of 2 fires burning across Colusa, Lake, and Mendocino counties. The river fire is now 100% contained. The ranch fire, though, still burning. It has grown to more than 314,000 acres. It is 64% contained at this point. And over in Shasta County, the Carr fire is now more than 211,000 acres. Containment there at 67%. CAL FIRE says all remaining evacuation orders related to the Carr fire have now been lifted. And there's the Donnell fire. That one's the one burning in Tuolumne County. It's grown to more than 29,000 acres. It is 26% contained. Be sure to tune into our special report coming up later tonight right here on KCRA 3. California wildfires, state of emergency. We will look at the fires currently burning, how people are rebuilding following devastation, and why historically some of the worst months for wildfires are still ahead of us. It's coming up tonight at 6:30.
An unprecedented announcement from President Trump today. He revoked security clearance for former CIA Director John Brennan. In his statement, read by White House spokesperson Sarah Huckabee Sanders, the president pointing to a constitutional constitutional responsibility to protect the country's classified information, saying that Brennan made a series of unfounded and outrageous allegations about the Trump administration. Brennan has often been critical of President Trump and says he believes President Trump is, quote, the most divisive ever to be in the Oval Office. Well, the jury is set to begin deliberations now in the case against former Trump campaign chairman Paul Manafort. Lawyers for both sides made their closing arguments today after the defense rested without calling a single witness. Manafort has entered not guilty pleas to 18 counts of tax and banking charges. In closing arguments, prosecutors spent more than 90 minutes laying out their case that Manafort repeatedly lied in order to finance an extravagant lifestyle. Prosecutor Greg Andres alleges Manafort's tax returns from 2010 through 2014 are false, and he told jurors that they must find Manafort willfully and knowingly lied on the official IRS forms about his income and foreign accounts. Defense lawyers have blamed Manafort's top deputy, Richard Gates, for embezzling from Manafort and wrecking Manafort's finances.
Despite threats of a possible teacher strike, the first day of school began in Rockland Unified School District today without a hitch. The district has been advertising for substitute teachers to get ready for a potential strike, but teachers never voted on one, so parents and students arrived to find teachers in their classrooms as promised. There is still no agreement between the union and the school district on a contract.
Well, today, special attention on the first day of school for one little boy who got a police escort to school. Cameron is the son of Officer Lucas Shalhoub. You may remember he was killed in the line of duty back in February of 2017. Well, today, the California Highway Patrol and the Placer County Sheriff's Department escorted Cameron to class. It was complete with motorcycles, cruiser cars, all with lights and sirens blasting, and he was all smiles. So they are really stepping in for their brother who died in the line of duty.
That's a family right there. All right. Well, on Capitol Hill, Senate back in session. They have a long list of things to do. Up next to look at what's on the agenda.
Plus, the Department of Homeland Security looking at a program that uses federal air marshals to track U.S. citizens.
And another comfortable day weather-wise. We're hanging on to a lot of that Delta breeze, but over the next couple of days, I think that's going to go away, and I'll show you just how warm the next few days will get in just a couple of minutes.
An arrest has been announced in the deadly crash that killed a CHP officer and another driver last week. The CHP Solano area and Solano County District Attorney planning to hold a news conference at 5:30, so just in about 15 minutes. That's going to be coming out of Fairfield. They say they will announce the arrest and the charging of the man involved in the deadly crash from last Friday. Now, this happened during a traffic stop. Driver had veered off of I-80 in Fairfield, hitting CHP officer Kurt Griss and another man, 49-year-old Jaime Manuel. Both of them died.
In Italy, more victims have been pulled from the massive piles of rubble after a deadly bridge collapse. At least 39 people have died. A 650-foot span of the bridge in Genoa came crashing down on Tuesday while drivers were on the road. It was a 150-foot drop. The Italian government has now declared a state of emergency for the region for the next 12 months and allocated €5 million to tackle the search and rescue costs. The cause of the collapse is under investigation, but it did happen during a storm. Now engineers are calling for bridges throughout the region that were made during that time to be inspected.
The suspect in the Parkland, Florida school shooting in court today as a judge blasted a local newspaper for violating her order not to publish certain information. At issue here is information the Sun Sentinel published about the accused Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School gunman Nicholas Cruz's educational background. The school board redacted certain information from the PDF file it posted on its website August 3rd, but the newspaper simply converted that file into a Word document, which actually revealed the information that had been redacted. The newspaper's attorney said the information was lawfully obtained, and the burden of protecting the information lies with the school board, not reporters or the paper. Cruz is accused of killing 17 people at Stoneman Douglas High School. And with that in mind, students at Stoneman Douglas today returning for their first day of school today. A very different kind of first day at school. The high school with tighter security measures that included upgraded cameras. There were armed police on patrol today, and an ID badge is now required for students, faculty, and staff. The school has also expanded mental health services.
In Los Angeles, a man is facing jail time after vandalizing President Trump's star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Austin Clay faces one felony count of vandalism. The 24-year-old turned himself in on July 25th, the day after authorities say he used a pickaxe to smash the star. If convicted, Clay could face a possible maximum sentence of 3 years in jail.
Well, turning to Capitol Hill right now, the Senate back in session after cutting its August recess short to tackle a long to-do list.
Much of the focus is on rapidly pushing through appropriations bills and judicial nominations. Sally Kidd has a closer look at what's on the agenda.
Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh back on Capitol Hill to meet with Democratic Senators Heidi Heitkamp and Joe Donnelly, both up for re-election in states won by President Trump. Senate Democratic leaders have been pushing for documents related to Kavanaugh's time as staff secretary to President George W. Bush.
What are they hiding? What are they afraid of?
So you might ask, why the paper chase? Well, the real answer is that's all they have left.
Meantime, political observers say it will be rather mundane business as usual. They aren't expecting any big attention-grabbing votes, no new border wall funding or additional tax cuts.
If you're a Republican this cycle, what you don't want is to sort of agitate and awaken the Democratic base any more than they already are.
Keeping senators here instead of out with constituents on the campaign trail may be part of Republicans' midterm election strategy.
The theory, at least, is that this is an advantage for those challengers running against those Democrats.
The Republican leaders are hoping that moving those appropriations bills quickly will help avert a government shutdown on September 30th. You remember the president has said repeatedly that he wants to shut the government down if he doesn't get funding for his wall, but said more recently that he may wait until after the midterm elections. In Washington, Sally Kidd, KCRA 3 News.
So far, the Senate has approved 7 of 12 appropriations bills, but funding for Homeland Security may have to wait until after the election because there's a disagreement over how much money to include for the wall. The House won't return from its recess until early September.
Twitter's now following suit with other major social media companies. It has suspended far-right conspiracy theorist Alex Jones for a week. A Twitter spokesperson said the content which prompted the suspension was a video that was published yesterday in which Jones on his InfoWars website said, quote, "Now is time to act on the enemy before they do a false flag." A false flag is when a group fakes an event to try to invoke a response. Well, tonight in an NBC exclusive, Lester Holt sits down with the CEO of Twitter and the co-founder of the company about the suspension.
A timeout seems minor compared to the implications of someone suggesting a call to arms against a particular group, in this case, the media. How do you respond to that?
Well, I feel, any suspension, whether it be a permanent one or a temporary one, makes someone think about their actions and their behaviors. And
you think Alex Jones is going to change his behavior based on a timeout? I
don't know. We have found that it does have the potential to impact and change behavior. So whether it works within this case to change some of those behaviors and change some of those actions, I don't know. But this is consistent with how we enforce.
Interesting stuff. More from this exclusive interview on NBC Nightly News tonight at 5:30 here on KCRA 3.
Turning now to KCRA 3 weather, we got a live look from our Rayleigh Field sky camera, and it's nice to be able to see right into downtown Sacramento with a little bit of a breeze, too.
Yeah, let's check in with Mark right now. He's got some people behind you there, and we believe they're fully clothed on the boat.
In Gulfstone, I have bad news for you. I think somebody took out one of your boats.
They took out all of them.
So that's Live Copter 3 up over the American River, not too far from the confluence. And as you can see, yeah, there's some folks out there just having a good time, just having the boats tied up and just enjoying this late afternoon. And yeah, why not? This is a great looking day out there. We have sunshine, we have a delta breeze, we have temperatures that aren't too hot, 84 degrees. There's the delta breeze, wind out of the southwest at 11 miles an hour. Currently in Stockton, we have blue sky, 88 degrees, wind out of the northwest at 9. Currently in Modesto, we have sunshine and 89 degrees. Here the breeze out of the north at 13, but 89 degrees for Modesto in the hottest part of the day. In mid-August, Not bad. In Fairfield, running a little bit warmer than last night. We have 80 degrees, but we still have the Delta breeze. There's still some good cool air on it, so the valley is going to see some rather impressive cooling in the next couple of hours. And in South Lake Tahoe, just a couple of clouds today, but we haven't seen any showers or thunderstorms in the Tahoe Basin, and right now we have 80 degrees. Temperatures are running close to what we saw yesterday, and I think this is about as low as we get. We are just 1 degree warmer in Sacramento. We're 2 degrees cooler in Yuba City, but I think tomorrow, if I showed you this, it'll run maybe 3 or 4 degrees warmer. I think we're going to see a gradual warming trend over the next couple of days. I mentioned the fact that we've seen some showers and thunderstorms in the Sierra today, but they've all been developing along the crest of the Sierra and the east side. So here's Lake Tahoe, here's Reno, all the activity well to the east of the state line even. And if we're going to see any more of this during the day tomorrow, it would be in about the same location, which means that if you want to go to Tahoe, or if you're going to be, let's say, in Plumas County toward Portola, while you may see a few clouds here and there, I don't think we'll see any afternoon showers for the next couple of days. So for the Sierra, another beautiful day tomorrow with highs in the 80s, and on the west slope, really nice around Arnold and Pollock Pines, not as hot as it was a week or so ago. Daytime highs in the mid 80s. Beautiful day. In the foothills, we'll start with temperatures in the 50s, upper 50s to around 60. But by the afternoon, Angels Camp near 90, 88 in Placerville, and around Sonora, a lot less smoke than a week or so ago. Things really improving as the Ferguson fire is really putting out a lot less smoke. For San Francisco, a high of 66. We actually burned off some of the fog today. It'll come back tonight. Napa tomorrow will see a high of 79. For the valley, early morning temperatures will once again be down in the 50s. Another cool start, but tomorrow afternoon runs warmer. We go to 94 in Stockton and Tracy, and about 92 in Discovery Bay. And for the Sacramento area, where today we've been in the upper 80s to near 90, tomorrow about 92 to 94, so running a little bit warmer. And from there, temperatures continue to trend up, with Saturday being the warmest day, near 100 degrees. But after that, we'll see temperatures trend down. Nothing as cool as the last couple of days, but not all that hot for mid and then turning into late August. So yeah, we're kind of getting there. Before you know, it's going to be September. Then it's going to be October.
Then Christmas.
Thanksgiving.
All right, Mark, thank you.
Sure.
Let's just stop right there.
All right. Well, the Department of Homeland Security's Inspector General will review a TSA program. It's called Quiet Skies. Now, the recently revealed program uses federal air marshals to track U.S. citizens who've been flagged as possibly posing a threat. The passengers are not suspected of a crime, they're not under investigation, and not on any terror watch list. Investigators will look into whether this program follows privacy laws and whether it's actually effective. The DHS announcement of a review of the program came in response to a request by Congress.
Coming up, a forgotten remnant of history is rediscovered. A wall that once divided a nation is now given protected status. We've got that story next.
And coming up on the KCRA 3 News at 6 o'clock tonight, Sacramento roads could be costing you extra money. A new report says drivers in the Sacramento area pay more than $2,000 extra per year because of 3 problems with our roadways. The factors researchers say are wasting your time and your money.
A piece of the Berlin Wall rediscovered.
Yeah, you wonder how they got lost in the first place. But the wall, which sits close to the new headquarters of Germany's Foreign Intelligence Service, was actually hidden by some bushes. A local official says he stumbled across it when he was out on a walk. Authorities gave the remnant protected status last week. The Berlin Wall, by the way, was built in 1961 by communist East Germany. Most of it was demolished when communism fell starting in 1990, and only a few preserved sections still remain. And earlier this year, another piece of the wall from its early days was identified in a suburban district. A piece of history for sure. NBC Nightly News is next. More local news coming your way starting at 6. We'll see you then.